So Amazon has its range of affordable tablets that give or take every 1 to 2 years get upgraded so they can stay competitive with other tablets in the current market. The new Fire HD8 has been upgraded with a much better processor and a much longer battery life just so it can handle more tasks and stay on longer. Now this is going to be a review just on the Fire HD8 and whether or not in retrospect it is worth upgrading over the previous model, and how much was the weight actually worth it compared to the previous model. Now the screen is an 8-inch HD display and it has been reinforced with aluminosilicate, and the new design is also much slimmer and much lighter than the previous one at just right under 12 ounces. According to Amazon, after multiple tumble tests, the new Fire HD8 is roughly about 2 times more durable than the iPad mini. For me personally, I don't think the screen is too small. What matters to me most is the quality. Now, having a new slimmer design just makes it more flexible if you're trying to carry it around in your backpack or on the go. And honestly, for the most part, nobody really likes holding onto anything heavy, so going lighter is always an upgrade. Of course, the good thing that the screen has been reinforced to be made much tougher to prevent any cracks in case of drops, but unfortunately the screen is just so prone to fingerprint. It just makes it almost not worth getting because of all the cleaning up you have to do. The fingerprint issue is just a big mess. There's also two 2-megapixel cameras with 720p video recording. One camera of course is at the front and the other is at the back. Now a really positive that I liked is the fact that there is expandable storage. Now the base models come with 32 gigabytes or 64 gigabytes, and honestly, in today's age, if you think about it, that isn't going to be enough space for all the issues we may be dealing with, whether it's schoolwork, all the files we need to download, all the apps we might need. 32 gigabytes is just not enough in today's day and age. So having upgradable storage at least facilitates that issue and counteracts the fact that at a base 64 32 gigabytes just isn't enough. And the volume buttons as well also adjust to whatever orientation you may be holding them in. Now, at this point, the headphone jacks are honestly dying, but it's still good to see that they kept one in. But I honestly wouldn't expect one in the next couple years in the newer generations of the Amazon tablet. So the dual speakers are placed at the top so you can avoid muffling the sounds with your palms when you're holding the tablet. It has a 2 gigabyte hexa-core processor with about 13 hours of battery life, and to get a full charge is about 5 hours, which, looking at the market, 5 hours for 13 hours is really good and really competitive, considering you're able to use it for 13 hours and it has immaculate standby time. So honestly, depending on how you budget your battery life, you can even use it for much longer. Now when it comes to streaming apps and using multiple different apps and games, that's when you'll notice a big difference in this iteration. Now the new processor, as it should, runs everything much smoother and it mitigates a lot of lag. And that's not to say the lag doesn't exist, it does exist, but more so it happens either when opening different apps or when you're running games that require a lot of power for extensive amount of time. Now it's an HD display, not a full HD display. It is 1280 by 800p. Now what this means is at some viewing angles and depending on how large the text is, that's when you'll start to notice things get a little pixelated. Now the cameras are a definite improvement from the previous generation of the Fire HD8, but I highly doubt anyone is getting this tablet just for the camera. But if you are, of course you can still use it for zoom, to take whatever pictures you want, of course, and whatever else necessities you might have. For me personally, I just think that the UI on the camera app is extremely funky, and even though the camera is an improvement over the previous generation, it's still not as good as you'd want it to be. The cameras still have a long ways to go before they're even competitive in this market. Now, for the most part, there's more good to be said about this tablet than there is bad. The new processor is a definite upgrade, but the downsides, of course, are the horrible camera and the display. Now, the display isn't bad, but it just has a 189 pixels per inch, so sometimes things may be just looking a little pixely and not as sharp and crisp as I'd want them to be. Now the camera's okay, not too big of a deal breaker for me. It's just that the UI is kind of funky and flimsy for me, and the camera quality is just not good enough or there yet. Now, I definitely do think it's a good tablet and definitely better than the previous generation, but you're just gonna have to be aware of what you're gonna be getting. Now, certain aspects are really good, but some, considering we have to wait a year or more for the new upgrades in generations, the camera doesn't feel like it really went leaps and bounds ahead for it to be really worth it and recommendable. But if you're thinking of getting a tablet that can handle various tasks, then I think it's definitely more than capable. Of course, it's not the most powerful tablet out. It does have various improvements over the previous generation, but that definitely do make it worth getting over the previous Fire HD8. But then again, let me know what you think. Leave me your opinion. If you found this video helpful, you already know what to do. I'm Jadidra, and have a nice day.